Welcome, everyone. So I'm going to allow folks to fill in before we get started, but thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I'm Scott English. I'm the Executive Director of the American Philatelic Society, joining you for Ask Me Anything, the Great American Stamp Show. Tonight, we have joining us Wendy Mazzorti, who is the Director of Membership and Shows here. Wendy's been in that position for 3 years now. She's been with the APS for almost 40 years. She has worked through Chicago, Sacramento last year, and has been doing the preparation for Cleveland this year. Also with us is Scott Tiffany, who is the Director of Information Services and Librarian here at the APS. Scott is a veteran of the booth itself, and so we wanted to be able to focus on tonight is a little bit of an informal discussion, talking about some of the events that will be going on, making sure that we highlight some of the things you should know and should see when you come to the show. And then ultimately, we want to take your questions as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy Mazzorti. Take it away.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Well, first of all, it's really hard to believe that the Great American Stamp Show is just 3 weeks away. Starting to get a little nervous, but we're going to get there. We're going to be just fine. In case you didn't know, everybody knows it's a 4-day event. It's being held August 10th through the 13th at the Huntington Convention Center, the Hall C in Cleveland. The show is again hosted by the American Philatelic Society, of course, the American Topical Association, and the American First Day Cover Society. This is our 3rd year of hosting together. Each of the groups has a booth as you enter the show floor, where you'll find staff and volunteers that's going to help answer some questions. They'll help guide you around the show floor a little bit if you need it. Of course, the booths will be selling some materials and stuff, which we'll be getting into in a moment. But beyond these 3 welcome booths, you're going to find 134 other booths that are filled with dealers with a wide range of collecting specialties. These folks you can buy from, do some selling to. Additionally, we've got 41 societies and clubs that are hosting booths on the show floor, and 2 postal administrations. We've got the Post of Faroe Islands, United Nations Postal Administration will be there. So it is really going to be a full show floor with plenty of buying opportunities. In addition to the dealers, we're going to have the Cachet Makers Bourse that's going to be held on Saturday from 10 to 4. Of course, we got Corriga Auctions that are going to be there for a live auction on Saturday. And of course, we've always got the Stamps by the Bucket and the Covers by the Container, which folks love to go to. Folks of all ages really love that, digging through the many covers and stamps. So make sure on your way on the show floor, you want to grab the show program. It's going to be your guide to help you get around, looking for dealers that specialize in your areas of interest, or looking for these clubs that maybe you'll have interest in your area or a specialty area. Your show program is going to be your guide for sure around to help you with these folks. Also, as you enter the show floor, you're going to see a red carpet leading you straight to the United States Postal Service. They are our main sponsor. They are going to have a large booth area selling, of course, recent stamps that are going to be released. They will have a cancellation area where they'll have these special cancellations for each day of the show. Were designed by Martin Miller. They will also be doing some fun activities and events at their booth, so you want to be sure to check in with those folks, the United States Postal Service, when you get there to see what's happening. In addition to the dealers and the show floor stuff there, we've got lots of seminars, events, presentations, book signings. We're going to have everything from getting to gold, large gold in exhibiting, a presentation with a Royal Philatelic Society of London will be happening. We've got the National Postal Museum there for a seminar, how to create meaningful topical collections with the ATA. You don't want to miss Friday with Bill Gicker, head of the USPS Stamp Services. That's just a few of what's going on. Also this year, we have 8 first day ceremonies and unveilings that are going to take place on Thursday and Friday on the main show floor at the stage. These will include ceremonies for the United States Postal Service, the United Nations Postal Administration, Post of Faroe Islands, Marshall Islands, Boston 2026 will be there unveiling one of their labels. Plus, there will be a stamp design unveiling from the Rattlesnake Island local post. Again, all those will be happening on the show floor on Thursday and Friday. Something note, during the Post of Faroe Island ceremonies, you will actually get to meet artist and master stamp engraver Martin Mork, whose talents are going to be highlighted in a celebration of his 1000th stamp. He will be on hand to sign materials. He'll also be over at the Lynn's Stamp News booth. They have sponsored his visit, so you'll want to make sure to stop and meet Mr. Mork. So there's lots of events. You'll want to check out the schedule. There is a schedule online if you want to in advance, maybe jot a few things down. You want to make sure you don't miss. But again, pick up your program on the way in the door. It's going to be your guide for lots of things. Of course, we can't go without mentioning that there's going to be lots of exhibits on the floor. There are nearly 1,000 frames of philatelic exhibits this year. The APS, the ATA, and the AFDCS, of course, they all feature their exhibits in our respective competitions. We also have some youth exhibits, the Youth Champion to Champion, and of course the biggest competition, which is the annual Benjamin and Naomi Wisniewski, I don't know if I said that right, Champion of Champions, were the award winners from the last 12 months of the World Series of Philately show. They are invited to compete against each other. Let's see. Also among the exhibits, there's going to be some rarities. Of course, we've got the Jenny with us. A few other pieces we bring from APS will be there on the show floor. And this year, another big feature for us is the Court of Honor area, where we are going to include 50 frames from the Royal Philatelic Society of London. This is through a special exchange program that was organized with the United States Philatelic Classic Society. So they will be there with the 50 frames, which will be right inside the entrance door to the right. There will be 50 frames there. It'll be entitled Classic Stamps, Britain and the Empire. So it'll be definitely something you'll want to check out on your way through the show floor. Also on the show, we're going to have the annual literature competition. This year we have 50 entries, including articles, handbooks, society journals. The literature booth again this year is sponsored by the Collectors Club of Chicago. So thank you to those folks. The APS Youth Department will be there to host the youth area, which is being sponsored by the United States Postal Service Federal Credit Union. So thanks to those folks as well. So everyone, feel free to bring your kids, bring your grandkids. We'll have some fun at the booth. We'll get them interested in stamp collecting. One last note of a sponsor. I want to thank the Internet Philatelic Dealers Association. They've sponsored a branded tote bag with the APS. What we'll be doing with that is all the folks that have pre-registered for the show as supplies last on your way in the door, pick up your registration badge from pre-registering, and you're going to get one of these free totes that is sponsored by the Internet Philatelic Dealers Association. So thanks to all of our sponsors, for sure, for helping everything. And Scott, Tiffany, if you want to tell us a little bit more about what's happening at the booth.
Sure. Thanks, Wendy. So I was thinking about this today, how many times I've done the shows at the booth. And I think it's 5 at the larger show. I've done a lot of smaller shows as well. So it's always exciting to sort of meet members, meet non-members, have people come by the booth. So we're going to be at the APS booth. It'll primarily be myself, Jeff Krantwise, and Carol Hoffman here, but we'll also have others like Susanna Mills, Amy Larmer, and Ken Martin stop by at various times. So we ask that anybody, if you have a chance to sort of come by the booth, just say hello, sign in, as we usually have our sign in there at the desk, and we'll have some giveaway with the sign in as well. So one of the main sort of functions, obviously, of the booth is to sort of sign up new members. So even if you are a member, we still want to see you. But if you know somebody who'd like to become a member of the society, we'd love to have you stop by. We have a special going on at the show in which you'll receive this book if you come by the booth with a new membership. So we'd love to sort of have you come by and sort of sign somebody up. As I wouldn't do my due diligence if I didn't say, if you'd like to become a subscriber of the Philatelic Literature Review as well, we'd love to have you do that as well. You can do that at the booth as well. We'll also have the usual things going on. We'll have sales. So we'll have some of our publications there, as well as some of our specialty items, the usual brochures that you want to share with people or have other people sort of present to other people. And some of the forms that we usually have at the booth are expertising forms, circuit book forms, things like that. We won't have circuit sales at the booth, but if you have the items to submit, please feel free to come by and go through the process of submitting them with us. One of the things I know some of you have always asked about are the ribbons that we have on the badges as well. We will have those at the booth. So if you drop by the booth, they're 25-year, 50-year, your life ribbons, we can add those to your badge. They won't be up at the front desk as you sign in. They won't be on your badge when you get your badge for those who are pre-registered. That's something you'll have to stop by the APS booth in order to sort of have. Just like in past shows, we'll make all the announcements. We'll try to announce things as they happen at the show, whether there's a session going on, whether there's something going on. But also, if there's something you want us to announce, if there's something that's sort of not in the schedule that you'd like us to have us announce, please drop by the booth. Just let us know what it is. Something like what comes up every now and again is obviously we're sort of a lost and found as well. So if something like that happens, we hope it doesn't. But that's something we can sort of take care of at the booth as well. We're really sort of an information source as well. If there's something that you have questions about the show, where a room is, where something's going on, did I hear this right or hear that right, or did I read that in the program? Just stop by the booth. We can try and answer as many of those questions as we can. Also, I know some of you haven't already purchased banquet tickets for the awards banquet. We'd love to have you come by. We're going to have a limited amount at the booth, so we'd always sort of encourage you to stop by the booth sooner than later. We need our final count probably fairly early on Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. So if you could stop by either Thursday or Friday, that would be ideal. And as I say, we have a limited amount, so the sooner you can do that, if you're interested in doing that, please stop by. A few other things. We have the usual things by the booth. We'll have extra programs, things like that, if any kind of needs those things. And if you have any questions, probably the primary reason there is if you have any questions about any of the services that we have a number of people there. We'll have Carol, obviously, from sales there. Ken Martin will be stopping by at various times for expertising, Susanna for anything in editorial, myself for the library. But if there's a question you have about our services, about something that sort of has come up, we'd love to hear from you. We try to answer them as soon as we can. We try to get a hold of the person that we can, either if that person's there at the show or if they're back here at the APS, we will get a hold of that person and try and find an answer for you. With that, I'll just say, looking forward to seeing you all in Cleveland. Please stop by the booth, say hello, just stop by and sign in with us if you're a member. If you're not a member, we'd love to have you join. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Wendy.
Yeah, with you featuring the APS booth, I also wanted to just share a few things that I know of that's going on at the ATA and the AFDCS booth. I do know that the ATA will be hosting some book sales, some giveaways, and they're also featuring their updated checklist system. As far as I know, they're going to have a computer on hand that you can browse, order a list right there on the spot, print it out, and use it for topical shopping on the show floor. So that'll be very helpful if you're a topical collector. The ATA is also going to have an additional booth on the show floor where they are selling the Taste of Topical starter kits. So with lots of topics. So if you're getting started, it's going to be a great booth to stop by and pick up your starter kits. For the cover collectors, the American First Day Cover Society booth, they're going to, of course, be selling lots of covers, as well as stamps and souvenir sheets from the Marshall Islands that is doing a special release for commemorating their 100th anniversary of the cached First Day cover. So that's going to be a special event going on there. So you'll want to stop by and pick those up. They will also be selling the official gas show cachet, which is being featured there at the AFDCS booth. Chris Calley will be there, who is the artist. He will be there to sign. So the cachets for the gas show is going to be at the AFDCS booth this year, which is a little different than previously. So you'll want to stop by both of those booths as well and take part in their fun and activities. And again, they're there to help out and help guide around the show floor. So.
Okay, and on that note, I want to thank Dawn Hammond, who's the president of the American Topical Association. She's joining us this evening. So if you do have some comments or just want to say hi to Dawn, she's in the chat section. Foster Miller, who is the convention chair for the American First Day Cover Society, is also joining us live tonight. For those of you who are aware of what Volunteer Work Week is, Foster is here in Bellefonte with us, strangely enough, and has been helping out this week. So thank you very much for that, Foster. The questions are coming in sort of fast and furious. So let me get this kicked off. Attendees says, I belong to several study units. When will schedules of meetings be posted so I can make sure I do not have two at the same time at opposite ends of the building?
The schedule of events is already posted on the APS website, on the GAS site. You can check out that information now. It's stamps.org/gas. Then along the right-hand side is some links that will take you to different areas, and meetings and seminars is one of those. So that is there, and it's also a PDF copy that you can print and take with you, or start to jot down some stuff so you make sure you don't miss some things. But then also when you get to the show, you're going to want to pick up the show program.
A room that you can't find, let us know. We'll find it for you.
Well, just so everybody knows, all the meeting rooms this year is on the same floor level as the show hall. It is literally, they are literally adjacent. Straight out the door of the hall, you will go straight across the hall and you'll start to see the meeting rooms right there. So everything is very nearby. That's one good thing.
The next question is, will any of the GAS events be simulcast for viewing and participation remotely via the internet?
No, we did not do internet posting of the meetings this year.
Next question is, can I find an online listing of the Carriga auction in advance of the show?
Yeah, if you look on the GAS site as well, there is information on the Carriga auction, and I believe right there with that information is a link to Matt's page. And he has some information there on what he is offering, I believe.
The next question coming in is, who is coordinating information about things to do in Cleveland and the environs?
Coordinating it. I mean, when we get there, I know the local Visitors Bureau is there to help us out and give us some guidance. So we will look to them to hopefully provide some information to have available right there on the show floor when we get there that we can share with folks. But if you look in advance now, even on, again, the GAS webpage has a page where you can go to that kind of tells you some things to do in and right around the convention center. It really is a beautiful city, and you're going to want to get around a little bit and see it. It's near the water, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I was going to ask, if I recall correctly, I know in the American Philatelist in the July issue, there were some discussions of things that you can do while you're in Cleveland, as well as some things that are available on our webpage. Obviously, I would encourage everyone to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame while they're in town. Yeah. The Cleveland Guardians are playing a home game, I believe, on Wednesday night against the Toronto Blue Jays, and then they leave town for a road trip. So unfortunately, you've got one night to see the local baseball team. I hear they're decent. So by all means, please stop by and
or if you want to see the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Sorry, Scott. I was thinking about the wrong side of the border.
Yes, you were. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, will Carol be bringing clearance circuits for sale at the APS booth?
No, not that I'm aware of. That's something we do. We just try to do the sales through that. She does not have those available. We will have the blank forms for submitting items, but we won't have the clearance items there at the booth.
That does remind me, though, Wendy, you might want to talk a little bit about HipStamp being present and some of the events we've got tied to that for folks who are interested in the internet sales that we do here at Stamp Store, as well as working with our HipStamp partnership and the presentations we're going to do while we're there.
Yeah, the HipStamp booth actually is right in behind the APS booth. And actually, I think that's one of the reasons why Carol's not planning to take the circuit sales. I think she's going to spend a little bit of time over with the booth over there. I know we also went in with HipStamp on some bag merchandise too that we're going to have for some handouts for folks that'll be at those presentations. I know Carol is doing a presentation on Saturday at 2:00, buying and selling with APS HipStamp. Anna is doing a presentation. I believe her presentation is on Saturday, and she's going to do a little bit more focus on searching HipStamp and that type of information to help folks get around to different things. But HipStamp will be on the show floor. Again, they'll be right in behind this. They welcome everybody to come to the booth that has an interest in selling and buying. They'll help you out, guide you around, and Carol will be on hand to help folks as well. We're trying to, get a lot more information out to folks, help them understand how we can help them online with selling and buying, when we're there to help. So feel free to stop by, talk with Carol, talk to the girls at the Hip Stamp, and participate in the seminars for sure.
Question is, will there be a Scout Merit Badge workshop during the show?
No, that's not scheduled for this year.
I know the challenge typically with that, Wendy, is that, we usually work with a local group to provide that, but in this case, we did not have anyone that signed up for that.
Now we do, I should let everybody know, we do have a lot of volunteer support in and around Cleveland there. Dennis Sadowski and Rocco Capone have really stepped up and rallied with a lot of the local clubs to get local support to come out and sign up for volunteer. As a volunteer, I spoke with Sarah today. Our volunteer sheets are pretty much full. I've looked at the count and it looks like we have 70 volunteers. So we're doing really well. And I really give it out to those folks that really, Dennis and Rocco really stepped it up and really got the word out. And we're going to have a lot of support there, but please don't hesitate. If you have time to volunteer, come around, ask if we need some things, because, the registration desk, some at the youth area, some different things like that. And especially with exhibit set up and tear down, we can always use some extra hands. So don't hesitate to stop in and ask. On the ATA and the AFDCS, they're bringing a lot of folks to the game as well. That's providing support and help with everything. So Cleveland's going to be a good experience for everybody. So.
And if you are thinking of volunteering, please, quickest way to possibly do it is come by the APS booth, and we can get in touch with Wendy and her team about where you'd be best used in that instance. So if you are looking you have some free time at the show and you want to sort of volunteer, just come by the booth and we can sort of set you up with what you need to do.
So I'm reading through the chat section and I want to address a couple of things that have been raised in that discussion. Let me start with the first question that came through. Who should I contact to confirm the availability of a projector and screen for a seminar I'm scheduled to host on Saturday?
That would be me, but I can let you know. Feel free to reach out. Anybody that registered for a seminar, you would have received a confirmation letter telling you everything that's going to be in the room, but don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I won't say all, because there was a few we didn't need them in, but most of the rooms have an LCD projector and a screen in there, as well as the corresponding cords you're going to need to hook to your laptop. The only thing you need to bring is you need to make sure you bring your laptop. So screens, LCD projectors, they're going to be, but if you have a particular concern of a certain room and you want to verify, don't hesitate to reach out to Sarah or I and just ask the question.
So I do have a correction here, Wendy. The AFDCS seminar with Bill Gicker will be on Thursday, not Friday. The seminar on Friday will be with the folks from Kansas City who do the processing of first day covers. So for those of you who are interested in talking to Bill Gicker from Stamp Services, Thursday, I do think that will be a lively discussion. Usually when Bill comes to present here in Bellefonte with our members, it gets to be quite an interesting conversation. So make sure you have your questions. My biggest question is going to be, how in the world do you pick some of the stamps that you do? But there's a question here about, if I'm getting a 25-year certificate, do I need to get tickets to the dinner? I can answer that one, Wendy, for you. Anybody receiving a 25-year pin or a 50-year medal should attend the general membership meeting, which will be on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We do the presentations for that as well as for the Carter Awards at the general membership meeting, so everyone can celebrate your time. So first, thank you very much for your dedication to the APS. And we look forward to seeing you in Cleveland so we can recognize your 25 years of service. A comment here about suggesting that we reach out beyond local volunteers. I think this is often a misunderstood point. For those folks who've never been to a Great American Stamp Show before, more than 50% of the volunteers that support the show come from somewhere else in the country. We're very fortunate that we have a number of people who are willing to travel wherever we host a show and support us in doing that work. Without volunteers, there's just simply no way we could do this. But in a lot of these places, we do consider volunteer support when we're looking at locations for the show. But we also know that we're going to have to rely on folks from a number of places to come in and do that. So for those of you who have signed up to volunteer, whether you live in Cleveland or anywhere else in the world. Thank you very much for making that contribution. It is more valuable than you can possibly imagine. You're worth your weight in gold. So I want to get back to the questions. Well, actually, here's a comment for those of you who are interested in Friday night. The Browns will be playing a home preseason game against the Washington Commanders. So if you're into that sort of thing, you can go and watch them play. The next question is on safety. So the question is, Cleveland doesn't have the greatest reputation for safety. Are there special arrangements to help with attendees safely who are staying downtown in the meeting area? I would say some of this is reputational, and I don't necessarily think it's fair, Wendy. I've been to Cleveland several times now. I've been downtown, and over the past decade, the city of Cleveland and the state of Ohio have invested a lot of money in the downtown area. Where this convention center is located is relatively new. We're near Lake Erie. We'll be near the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That section of town has changed considerably in the last decade. So I would encourage folks not to be concerned about the safety. Yes, be careful, be cautious. I would tell you that no matter whether we were having the show in Sacramento like we did last year, or if we were having it in Hartford like we are next year. But I don't know if the safety of Cleveland is any different than either of those two cities. So for those of you who might have heard things about the city, I would just encourage you and certainly reach out to, for those folks who are from the Cleveland area who'd like to weigh in the chat section, please do. But, we would not take folks to what I would consider to be a highly dangerous area if we didn't think that we could make sure that folks were able to enjoy themselves. I cannot guarantee everyone's safety, just to be clear about that. But again, I couldn't do that whether we were in Sacramento, Hartford, Rosemont, or anywhere else for that matter. So the next question is, Wendy, if you could explain a little bit more about the first day ceremonies that'll be occurring on Thursday and Friday.
The first day ceremonies on Thursday. The lineup starts on Thursday at 11 a.m. with the United States Postal Service. We'll be there with Life Magnified. Stamp will be released. After that, on Thursday at 1, we have the United Nations Postal Administration with a Body, Mind, and Soul. Then we have Post of Faroe Islands 1000th stamp. That'll be at 2. At 4 on Thursday, then is the 100th anniversary of the Cached First Day cover with the Marshall Islands. That'll be at 4 on Thursday. Friday starts with 11 a.m. Thinking of You stamp with the United States Postal Service. Then we have the Label First Day ceremony with Boston 2026. That's at 1 p.m. And then we have Martin Mork's 1000th stamp with the Post of Faroe Islands at 2 on Friday. And then we have the Battle of Lake Erie unveiling with the Rattlesnake Island local post, which they will be there Friday at 3. And again, all of these are on the show floor stage, which is off to the right of the United States Postal Service booth. So you won't miss it. There will be a big stage. There will be some seating for some folks and some big events on that. And there will be some signings afterwards, of course, and folks you can speak with about different things. So yeah, hopefully everybody can make it. And again, it is on the site. It is on our schedule, all of this information, and don't hesitate to reach out and ask if you need something.
And I just want to add, so I know some of you are sort of veterans of shows and have been to a lot of shows. If you've never been to a first day ceremony, it's a must-do thing. It really, really is. It's quite the ceremony. It's not just whether you are sort of interested in the stamp or not, it's just a must-do thing when you're at a great show, at a big show. So I would encourage anybody who can sort of make it, please do pick one that works for your schedule, but I would absolutely do it. It's you get to meet some of the people that design the stamps, some of the people during the ceremony that sign the material, and it's a great keepsake to have from a great event. So I would encourage anyone who hasn't done it before to please consider putting it on your schedule for one of the shows or for one of the events if you can.
So on to the next question. Will Wi-Fi be available in the seminar rooms?
We have a few presentations that have requested Wi-Fi, and we're going to leave instructions in the room that they can contact the staff, and we will be over to help them. We'll make sure that they can get on for their needs at that particular thing. The show floor itself does not have free available Wi-Fi to everybody. But they say cell service on the show floor is good. So if you need internet service on the show floor, you can use your hotspots. But again, yeah, no, it's meeting rooms. Have been given some limited accessibility that we can help folks that are really, we do a few presentations that they're going to Zoom in with some other club folks. So we'll make sure we help them get on.
So I got another comment in the chat section, which I'd like to address, which is, did we share the information about this Zoom? For any of the events that we do, folks, we like to advance notice this event, usually anywhere up to 3 weeks in advance or more. Any longer than that, we found that folks just sort of drop out, even if they've signed up for it. But this is my encouragement for not just you watching live, but those who will be watching on video. Please read your weekly newsletter. It doesn't cost you a penny. It doesn't take any time, but there's always good information in there about what's going on at the APS. And if you're not getting the email, you should check in with the membership department, but we send it out every Tuesday to our membership. And I really think it's got a lot of valuable information in it. And I would love to see more folks read, engage, and value it. So by all means, please do. Here's a great question. Is the pre-show learning session sold out, and how can someone sign up for it now?
No, the pre-show learning event is not sold out. It is actually online. It's still online. You can get online and you can pre-register there, or just give us a call. The pre-show learning event is all about cancellations. That is with Gary Lowe. The cost is $50 for members, $100 for non-members.
Wait a minute. Is that the Gary Lowe, former editor of the American Philatelist?
That's it. So yes, if you haven't signed up and you are interested, please get signed up. That happens on Wednesday, the 9th. It starts at 8 a.m. It is an all-day event. Goes through 5. Lunch will be on your own, but Gary promises that it is going to be it's just going to be fabulous. You will return home with a robust package of course materials and a firm foundation for additional personal research. But no, there is definitely room in the course, and we welcome some extra attendees.
By all means, Gary is a wonderful instructor. He is a lively person when you're in person with him. He's very gregarious. And I've learned a lot from Gary, both at his time here and subsequently still I learned from Gary. So if you're in town and you want to join a great event where I think you'll have a little bit of fun and you'll learn a lot, then this is definitely the session for you. Great question. Will anyone senior from the USPS be in attendance who can speak to receive comments about the sale of fraudulent U.S. stamps? Aside from the Bill Gicker event, many members, many senior members from Washington will be in town for the event, and you'll often be able to find them at the USPS booth, which is very prominently located on the boards. I would encourage everyone who has a concern about fraudulent stamps to speak with the USPS. Although we've been advocates for doing things differently than they are now, they need to hear from their customers too. So I would encourage everyone here and anyone watching is to be able to engage the USPS, make them aware of how they feel the policies are and what they should be doing to deal with it. I would love to see us do some things differently about that. And if they would at least listen a little bit to the collector community, I think they'd get some good insights on that one. But thank you very much for that question. Here's a series of questions. Can I get a spot to share information about sites worth visiting that have philatelic interest? The Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens featured in the 2020 Gardens issue, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, upcoming 2032 Bicentennial of Erie and Ohio Canal. Ed Andrews from the Garfield Perry Club. Ed, I would strongly recommend you reach out to Nora Bryson on our staff, Nora B at stamps.org. Please share that information with her. She would love to do these suggestions as a promo for the show that would go both on the website and in the newsletter, as well as some other places. So please share that information. This is fantastic stuff, but I think she'd probably love to pick your brain a little bit about it some more. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I really would appreciate that. Is it still possible to get tickets for the stamp soiree? This is a wonderful question. We do an annual fundraiser every year for different causes. This year, the cause is for our joint capital fund. We set up a joint capital fund last year to start. Now that we're debt free, the reality is we have to start taking care of the building. One of the first critical missions that's going to come along is the roof on the original section of our renovated building, that is building 18, where the half of the APS is expertising circuit sales, internet sales, things like that. That project's going to cost us roughly $600,000. So our target for the Stamp Soiree, which is our annual fundraising dinner, is $100,000. Last year in Sacramento, we raised $85,000. That's the most successful fundraiser we've had to date. This year, we already have pledges and receipts of $87,000, and our goal is to get to $100,000. That said, the really interesting problem I have right now is I'm out of seats. So we're at maximal capacity. I certainly will still take donations, contributions for a wonderful cause. And for those of you who want to contact me directly so we can talk about that, we can probably find a way to get you in. I still have some seats that I can probably sneak people in, but I'm going to continue to ask for support because I think the cause is great. And we certainly would appreciate your help there. For the 2024 Hartford show, what qualifications do you need to have a table, Wendy? I could only do Friday and Sunday. Would I have to find another dealer to take the table for Saturday?
I have never had anybody ask me that question. If they can only do certain days of the show, I don't think it would hinder.
So the question, Wendy, is the Sabbath for this individual question is Saturday. So he'd be able to work Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, but not necessarily Saturday.
I mean,
I think that's certainly something.
If he had somebody that he could, ask to cover for him that particular day, because that would be hard to let his stuff on the, would he remove things from the floor and different things. So I think he would just need to orchestrate to have some help to cover for him on Saturday is what I would recommend.
So if you are an APS dealer member and you're interested in doing the show in Hartford in 2024, please let Wendy get through Cleveland first. But by all means, we certainly would be happy to work with you early to make sure that you're able to adequately plan for the show.
Oh, and we do have dealers that share booths. I mean, you'll see that at this upcoming show. There are several booths that you'll go around, and there will be actually 2 name cards up on the back of the booth. So if you're interested in the booth and you may not be able to cover, you may want to check around to see if there's someone that would be interested in splitting a booth with you and sharing for sure. That way it could be covered if you happen to walk away.
Will there be reps members attending from Chicago, New York, or other collectors clubs? I suspect that Chicago will be represented there. The Collectors Club of New York will be hosting a dinner on Wednesday evening. So if you're able to attend that, you certainly can if you're a member. All of that information for the evening events are posted in the schedule itself. So you will be able to do that.
Yeah. And in addition to the societies that are having booths, we also do have several that are participating with some meetings and seminars. So it's just good to check the site for those that are participating to see who's all going to be there and what events they are holding.
Back to the auction. The auction says listings will be posted shortly. Can someone get after them to list by 8/1? I'm sure Wendy is working on that as we speak. And as soon as the catalog is available, we would all be very excited about it. Foster Miller offers this comment, and I certainly agree with it. After 2 downpours in Bellefonte in the past 3 days, I definitely see why we need to have money for a new roof. So by all means, even if you're not attending, we have many people who've made contributions that won't be at the dinner. And so by all means, you're certainly able to make a contribution either now or into the future. There's a number of questions here about my events. So just for folks to know, on Thursday and Friday, I will be, we'll have a board meeting, an APS board meeting on Wednesday, the 9th. That is open to everyone. So if you're in Cleveland and you're interested in hearing about what's going on at the APS, I certainly would encourage you and invite you to attend the meeting. I'm going to have to adjust the time frame because there are some issues we have to deal with. And so I've got to work through the schedule event. It's listed as 10 o'clock, but it may be that we have to work in an executive session and an appeals all at the same time. So it looks like we have some things to deal with that will not be open to the public, but most of the meeting is open to the public. It's a joint meeting of the APS board and the APRL board. We have several new members of the APS board. Greg Galletti, who recently moved from the APRL board over, will be attending the meeting, as well as Gene Wang, who is our newly elected trustee on the APRL board of trustees. So if you're interested in meeting the folks who represent and serve you as volunteers on our boards, then by all means, please join us for that meeting. On Thursday and Friday, Wendy has me booked in back-to-back first day ceremonies, both days. So I'll be speaking at virtually all of the I think every first day event that'll be going on, including the unveiling of the Rattlesnake Island local post, which I'm very excited about. I think this, for me, this is kind of a neat one because we are on Lake Erie. We're very close to Rattlesnake Island, and this restarting these stamps, I think for a lot of enthusiasts out there about local post and Rattlesnake Island, this is great news. And you'll get a chance to you'll get to meet one of the artists that's designing the stamps that's going on right now. So if you like talking to stamp designers, this is a great chance to meet someone who is in the business and doing something very unique. The two Faroe Island events are great because one is the 1000th engraving by Martin Mork. Martin was supposed to be with us in Chicago in 2021, but COVID restrictions kept him from leaving Denmark and getting here. So it'll be wonderful to finally see him in person. And for those of you who are fans, he does great work, and it'll be awesome to meet him in person. The other is the 1000th issue, if I'm not mistaken, of Faroe Islands. So you've got 2000s that are going on there. Martin's done stamps for other countries besides Faroe. So that's why he's at 1000, as well as Faroe is at their 1000. So these are unique situations that you'll be able to enjoy. UNPA will be a great opportunity for us to promote UN Expo, which will be occurring in Belfont in October. And so for those of you who are planning to attend, we'd love to see you there. So the first day events will be a lot of fun. Obviously, I'll do a general membership meeting on Saturday morning. I will be at the medal ceremony in the afternoon, and then I will be emceeing the banquet on Saturday night. I will be working the floor. There is rarely a chance for me to get a break, usually from sunup to sundown and then some. So for those of you who are looking for me, if all else fails, go to the APS booth and they will track me down. Believe me, you won't be the first and you won't be the last. But I love to visit with our members while I'm there, and every chance that I can get to say hello and speak with you, I'm going to do. But so I'm always excited about these events. I'm really looking forward to it. I can talk a little bit more about my fall schedule at some point, where I will be speaking at live events throughout the year. Wendy, I'm going to ask you to give your email address out if you wouldn't mind. We have a member who's very eager to become a dealer member, and I'd like for him to reach out to you directly so that he's able to do that.
All right. My email address is Wendy, WENDY, @stamps.org. You can put that in the chat as well. So
for you to make sure, and I'll post that up as well. Scott, can you talk with me a little bit about your talks that you're going to be doing while you're at the show?
Yes, so I'm going to be doing a talk, Wendy. I believe that is on the Friday. Am I correct?
Friday at 11.
Friday at 11. Do you have a room number for that yet?
Yes, you do. Give me 1 minute. Friday at 11 in room 11.
So it's really easy then. So Friday at 11 in room 11, I'll be doing a talk titled The American Philatelic Research Library, a status report. And what I'm going to do is sort of go over what we've done over the past year here in the library. We'll give you a little bit of a background on some of the projects we've been working on, some of the progress we've made on certain things. Probably at the top of that list will be the digital library. We're really excited about the progress we've made so far with it. We started phase 1 in March 1st of last year, and we're now going to be slowly moving into phase 2. I won't give everything away, but it'll certainly sort of involve expanding our staff in terms of people working on the project. We're also looking to expand some of the things that we include in the database. So right now we have primarily Journals make up the largest portion of the digital library, but we're looking at sort of other options for things that we can include there, like exhibits, books, other items as well. And there's also some things that we're going to make in terms of looking for other possibilities in terms of how we go about sort of getting things into the digital library. And what I mean basically is that right now we're sort of just uploading digital content to things that are born digital. And we're looking to sort of now go into a phase where we're sort of taking things that are in paper form only and digitizing them. Other things I'll be talking about, the online catalog, how that's progressing. A couple of years back is when we changed over to the new platform. And so we're really looking to, we have some data now that gives us an insight into how it's performing. I certainly want to sort of leave time. I really like this format that we're doing now with these Ask Me Anything chats that we have online. And I really want to sort of leave a lot of time during my talk afterwards to sort of for you to ask questions. I know in the past we always have a Q&A at the end, but I really want to sort of have it more sort of interactive this time. So I will start with a brief presentation about some of the things I've talked about, some of the things that we're doing here in the library, but I really want to hear back in terms of specifically using the online catalog, using the digital library, the services that we provide. Are they meeting your expectations? Are there things that we could be doing in any of those three areas that we could do better? So I really want to, if you have a chance to attend, I'd love to sort of have you there. And I really want to hear feedback, good and bad. It helps both good and bad helps us in the library to sort of improve our services, to sort of meet, as I say, meet the needs, and we'd like to exceed the needs of those who use the library. So really looking forward to it. I've done these talks in the past, and I always really enjoy hearing from members and hearing from people who use the library. It allows me to put sort of faces to names sometimes, and it's just a great experience. I'm really looking forward to do that. If you don't get a chance to attend the session, that's fine. You can come by the booth and I can certainly sort of talk through basically what I talked about in the session and answer any of your questions at the booth as well. If there's something I'll even sort of do, if you've used the online catalog and it's not performing the way you'd like, I could sort of certainly walk you through a training session. Same with the digital library, we can do it right there and sort of figure it out to help you through with that. So look forward if you can make the session on Friday. If you can't, then please stop by the booth and I'd be more than willing to sort of answer any of your questions or help you with any of the services that we provide. So really hope you can come by and look forward to sort of meeting and talking with you.
Wendy, on a larger base, I know we've talked a little bit about Carol's presentation with HipStamp as well as Scott's presentations. Are there other APS talks that'll be going on during the show?
We've got Scott Tiffany doing the status report 11 we just talked about. Ken Martin will be doing exhibit tours on Friday and Sunday at noon. I've got the general meeting, of course, already talked about. Carol Hoffman's presentation, buying and selling, on Saturday at 2. And Ken Martin on Sunday at 2 will be doing the estate planning for philatelist. And go ahead.
If you're bored on a Sunday or not, even if you're not bored on a Sunday, I can't emphasize this enough. If you haven't had a chance to go through the estate talk yet with Ken, it's something I strongly encourage. Now we have it recorded, and Scott and Ken did a joint session a little while ago, and we've got that recorded and available on our YouTube page. But being able to chat with Ken directly about planning for the future, as well as making sure that you leave no stamp behind when for your family to have to manage without and having a whole lot of questions there. I can never encourage this enough, because planning for the future is making sure that those stamps will end up in good hands, that your family will be well taken care of, and that those stamps will be as well.
I just want to piggyback on what Scott's saying. It's such an important thing. We see it a lot here in the library with literature. Where something happens and someone's left with dealing with someone's philatelic collection, or in the case of the library here, their philatelic literature. And Ken is an encyclopedia for this. He really knows all the things that you need to be thinking about. When I shared a class, we did a session together, a chat together online where I sort of talked about literature donations and things like that. And he obviously talked about philatelic items, and I learned a lot. I mean, a lot of the things that you have to think about, and you can never, it's never too early to do that. It's never, it's always a great idea to sort of get that out of the way and sort of start thinking along those lines. And we here in the library, we really do see the sort of front line of that when sort of someone is calling us, cold calling us and saying, hey, I have all this literature, what do I do with it? So anything you can sort of get ahead of that curve, and anything you can do to sort of help that process along is always a good thing. So I would strongly encourage sort of attending Ken's session. He's great at answering your questions, even if they're really specific questions about something you're dealing with. So and if you do want to sort of come by the booth and ask about what to do with literature, I'd certainly I'd welcome those questions, and I can help answer those in terms of a philatelic library, for example, that you may have.
One last comment here I see is from Foster. A big thanks to Wendy and Sarah for all the work they've done on this year's show, starting a couple of weeks after Sacramento. I'd echo that. I don't know, Wendy, if people really understand the amount of work that goes into coordinating and organizing the show. We spend a lot of time working with our friends at the American First Aid Cover Society, the American Topical Association. I'll say this, just a plug for the partnership itself. Since 2018, the ATA and the APS have been working together on shows. And for those of you who were in Columbus, you saw, I think, a decidedly different show. And from each year since then, I want to give credit to all of us for being able to continue to change the event, make it much more interactive, make it much more of a familiar atmosphere. Adding the AFDCS was a good choice. And I think the three partners do a wonderful job of creating a show that's unforgettable, that you're able to spend time with friends, family, and have as not only just buy stamps, but really have memories to go along with that. So I want to just put a plug in for that partnership and say thank you very much to Dawn, who's been our chief partner at the ATA for these years, as well as Foster, who's done a yeoman's work for the AFDCS. I think if you've been to a show since we've started doing these partnerships, you'll see it's very much a great thing, but a lot of work goes into it. And so Wendy will never toot her own horn, so I'll do it for her. I think she does a wonderful job with managing these shows. She's been fantastic since year one with this, even though she had some frame of reference when she took over the show. The first show that she had to do was in Chicago, and we had 5 months to plan the show because of the pandemic and our decision to ultimately go forward with it. So from there, I think each year has gotten better. I really do appreciate all that she's done for this. I just want to give her credit in front of our membership, as I will do again in Cleveland. But thank you very much, Wendy and Scott and Jeff Krantweiss and Carol and all of the other team. Ken, they do a wonderful job in support. I always tell Wendy she's very good at telling people what to do, even if she's not great at managing them. But so she's a wonderful taskmaster, though, in making sure that this is a team event, and the contributions are a lot of fun for us because we get to spend 4 days with our membership, and we really value that.
Yeah. Sarah takes care of a lot for us. She's really come a long way with helping along with everything, and she's coordinating all the volunteers this year. So she's got a full slate. But
for those of you who come, we always like to hear your feedback. We're always in a constant mode of seeking to improve the event, making sure that it's worthwhile for you to attend. We will start working on Hartford very soon after we get done with Cleveland. Wendy has to go and be a mother of the groom soon for an event in August, and then we'll get her right back to work on the show in Hartford. So congratulations, Wendy, on the addition to the family. And I think that covers it for now. We've hit 60 minutes. First of all, thanks everyone who've joined us for the live event. And I also just want to say I really appreciate everything, the engagement that we get from these meetings. Everyone asked a lot of great questions tonight. I think we could probably do 3 hours on this if we really wanted to. But with that, we will call it quits. You have Wendy's email address. You certainly know how to reach me or Scott Tiffany. And if you have questions, you have comments, you have concerns, please let us know. We want to make sure that you have a lot of fun in Cleveland. You should be there. It's going to be a fantastic show. So thanks, everyone. And thank you, Scott and Wendy, for joining me tonight.
Thank you, guys. Hope we see you at the show.
Yeah, see you in Cleveland.
All right. Everyone take care.